Hello Bill, this is Michel Painchaud from golfanalytics.com. Thank you so much for submitting your questions and your video here to our website. We really appreciate it. So let's take a look at the swing in its entirety before we get into a couple tips here. We're going to do this in slow motion. I believe you're hitting a 7-iron out at the range on a mat here. Get to the top of your backswing. Watch it all the way through. Okay. So we're not going to break down every step of the swing. As many of you know, I use a system called the DS7, Dynamic Static 7 moves. We're not going to break down all 7 moves here today, but I'd just like to point out one in particular and something at your setup position. So let's get back to the beginning of your swing. Now, one thing I'd suggest you do right off the bat, it'll be an easy adjustment. I really like that you're in a solid posture, meaning you have a little curve in your lower back here. That always tells me that you're bending from the hips rather than pitching over from the shoulders. So that's good. You have a nice solid straight back. Your chin is lifted nicely so that your shoulders can go underneath the chin, and you have a good knee flex. The only thing I'd suggest you do is to just change the pitch, a little bit of your posture. The numbers really aren't important. It changes from person to person, but here we have 40 degrees. If you could almost get that up to the 48, let's say, and what that'll do, the way you'll know that you're in that posture, if I trace a line down from your hands, right now you're a little bit too far forward out in front of your feet. So if you can just pick your posture up from your hips so that your hands fall just in line with your toes, I think what that will do is help you stay in balance a little bit more on your backswing. Now what I mean by that is if I draw a line onto your head here, we want to imagine that we're swinging with our head up against a wall, let's say, and we want to keep it there. So we notice, because perhaps you were maybe a little bit out towards your toes, when you do your backswing to maintain your balance, you're actually pulling towards your heels. That can lead to some inconsistency in your ball striking. I just, to keep it nice and simple, I'd first go to the range and try picking up your posture just a hair. Again, like I said, it's great you have the video here, I believe on your iPhone, so you could always film yourself and check that, or like I said, just glance down and check your hands to see where they're positioned. The next tip I'd like to offer you is has to do with static position 1 in your backswing. So you can refer to your swing manual with all the details in that for that position, and I'll just point out a couple things here. Again, because of your posture, you may have had this tendency of, instead of rotating your body first, you're pulling your hands away. My students hear me saying this all the time. I always want to make sure I'm leading the swing with my chest, my upper body, or what we call the shoulder cradle. So it's both shoulders, the bones, the clavicle bones, the muscles behind your neck. Because right now what's happening is you're pulling the club a little bit too much onto the inside. So if I draw a line onto your feet here, everything that passes on this side of your toe line, we call that the inside. So you want to make sure your club head is not slipping back here. That can get you what I call disconnected. So the club head and your hands are no longer in line with your chest. Just to give you a little bit, I did some static exercises. Now, most of you know, on the lefty, I'm going to switch it to the right-handed here, like Bill. So we're going to take a look, at static position 1. So again, to my posture, you can tell my hands are out in front of my toes, not out beyond my feet. So static position 1, making a very conscious effort of moving the shoulder cradle. So you can see the difference when the club reaches about parallel height. We want to maintain a triangle between our shoulders, hands, and the club. So if we could get the club out here in position 1, I think it would be a lot easier for you to control your shots. You'd be a little more aware of what the club head is. Now you notice I'm actually looking at the club head in this video. You don't want to do that when you're doing your dynamic swings, but rather your slow, deliberate, static swings, which is all outlined in the manual. One thing I'd suggest doing, you notice I have my bag here, but if you have a freestanding golf bag, or you can find a chair for that matter, position it so that it's in line with your toes, and don't allow that club head to knock into the chair. So you can treat this almost as an exercise, like you would do push-ups or sit-ups. Give yourself a number of repetitions and sets to really drill this move. So you can do it at your home. Take your club, you'll get set up. I'll do it here on this side, and just tell yourself, I try to minimize it to 3 reps per set so as to not hurt your back. So you would do 1 rep, head back, again, that would be 2, and then finally 3, that would be 1 set. Try to do, I'd suggest 5 sets per day, or as a nice stretch before playing. That'll really isolate that particular movement. Sometimes players try to do this within their dynamic full swing right away, and that can be rather difficult to assimilate with all the other moving parts that are going on in your swing. So let's isolate static position 1 for now. Do that, like I said, perhaps before playing with a 7-iron, and you'll notice that the sheer repetition of isolating these moves, repeating them over and over again, will translate into a better dynamic swing. Okay? Well, I hope that was helpful. I look forward to getting more questions and video footage from you. For all of you out there listening to this, be sure to send us your videos at, you can send it to me directly at Michel at golfanalytics.com. Let me throw that up there. There we are. We're going to pull this over. And be sure to check in with the site, as we are always looking to improve our technologies and updating the content. So keep feeding us questions, keep feeding us videos, and together we're going to increase overall everyone's performance. Thank you, and good playing.